Wrecked her, dang near killed her. And our insurance quotes are in, and I have to make a very important trailer decision in the very near future. So let's talk about it, coming up on Riding with Kev.
But the fact of the matter is if you want to be good, you really don't have a lot of choices because it takes what it takes. You have to do what you have to do to be successful. So you have to make the choices and decisions to have the discipline and the focus to the process of what you need to do to accomplish your goals.
What is going on, you guys? To the usual suspects, welcome in. To the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. So, yeah, it's been an eventful little week that I didn't expect to have. I thought I was just going to go out and ride the country and have a good time while waiting on my authority to come through, and it has been anything but that. Nothing bad except, you know, the whole Rector thing. But, again, most of you guys saw the short, so I won't take a lot of time on it, but I did want to kind of be able to go into a little bit more detail and explain that, you know, it was a Sunday morning. I was driving down the road, 5:37, and there's two things that scare me out here, and that's animals and other drivers. If it was just me on the highway, I guess it wouldn't be any issue whatsoever. But it's not the way it works. We got to be careful, and you know, when you're driving so much, like we said, what we do is just instinct. You know, I'm just driving down the road, and I look up, and I see a car hit the shoulder, which cars hit the shoulder all the time. I had a caravan of cars, a car show or something, hit the shoulder. So, you know, if you've ever been on the side of the road when an 18-wheeler drives by you, it's 65 miles an hour-ish. Just the turbulence and all that, so we tend to get over. So I checked my mirror, and as I'm checking my mirror, that's the split second where you see his headlights coming around the truck in front of me, and it was just the perfect situation where my hand was on the turn signal, and if you see the video, you see a little dirt kick up, because I think he thought I was coming, and just the brain doesn't even register that in a divided highway with a guardrail, even though I saw the cop, that there would be a car on my side of the road. And I saw him, and I went through, and it kind of, as usual, you know, like most things, it hit you at once right after it happens. I mean, it was an adrenaline rush, and so, you know, I had to pull over.
It's all right. Oh my God, I almost died. No. I almost died. That was so scary. Thank you. That's okay.
And, you know, it wasn't obviously that dramatic, but, you know, my TMC guys, taking a moment, you know, so I had to take a moment and collect my thoughts, because, you know, it's 5:30 in the morning, there's nobody to call, nobody to talk to, just, you know, you work through it and you move on. So we got up to New York, delivered that load, super easy Sunday morning. We picked up Monday morning the load that we just delivered that was 7,000 pounds of the little foam that goes under meat at the meat packing plant, and took it all the way to Boise, Idaho. And we're running low on hours. Recaps aren't great, but if I didn't pick up a load today, I would end up sitting in Boise for 2.5 days. So I got the load I'm on. It is 10,000 pounds. It is cabinets going to Costco in Dayton, Ohio. So we're on our way, going to book it over to Ohio. But the insurance quotes came in. And they came in, and I have several quotes. I will explain that to you here in a minute. But basically, they were between $22,500 and $25,500. Now, while that is a lot, that's not unexpected. You know, I've done my research. I kind of knew what to expect, kind of knew where I was going with this. Because, again, I'm a brand new authority. I have a driving record that's good. I don't have any issues there, but these companies don't know me. And there's only certain companies that'll work with you. And so I got about 8 quotes and put them all together, and I have to decide what trailer I'm going to buy. And I don't necessarily mean, like, which trailer, like, specifically. I'm talking about the fact that I got to determine what I'm going to pull. And I've done videos about, you know, the different things about different freights. But as an owner-operator, now I have to look at it through a little bit different lens. And so the first quote that came in of all the quotes was for Dryvan. And Dryvan is the cheapest, most affordable, at $22,500 a year. And with Dryvan, it's kind of one of those situations where it is the lowest barrier to entry. I'll just say it that way. You know, if you have a truck and you get an authority with dry van, it's the most amount of loads. They are, equipment-wise, if I'm looking for a good, solid, used trailer, they're about $20,000. And with the carriers and brokers that'll work with me, again, there's the most amount of loads out there. But if you look at the national average on dry van, it is paying about $1.57 per mile. Some loads are less, some loads are more. Obviously, it depends on the area, the broker, etc., etc. But because there's so many loads out there and anybody can do it, it just happens to pay the least amount. And so I've been hauling, obviously, dry van, and I enjoy dry van from the sense, especially on the spot market, is I'm dealing with a lot of what I like to call five dockers. Like this load I went to today. The company, they have room for trucks, they take trucks, but they only had 3 docks. It's first come, first serve, but I was the only one there. And I'm going, you know, I'm going to a Costco warehouse. It's bigger, but I've done a lot of deliveries to 5 dockers. And so I really like dry van from the sense of it's easy. You know, it doesn't take, and I don't mean easy like, I meant it from what I talked about. You know, I can just get it. I can get long loads. I can get light loads. I've done 4,600 miles and hauled a total of 17,000 pounds between both loads. And I get good fuel economy. So there are some advantages to dry van. But I thought, and was 99% sure when I started this whole authority thing, that I was buying a reefer. Because reefer on average is paying about $2.10 per mile. So my Southern Louisiana education tells me 50 cents more per mile. It's kind of like 3,000 miles. We'll use round numbers here. Kind of like $1,500 extra dollars for the same miles. Now you got to pay for reefer fuel. There's, you know, the reefer expenses because reefers cost money to run. Let's say it's $1,000 a week. Well, I'll make an additional $52,000. Again, I'm speaking in gross generalizations, hauling reefer for the same stuff. But the trailers themselves are about $12,000 to $13,000 more. They're between $30,000 and $33,000 for a good quality, relatively low hours 2016, 2017 model reefer. But as I've talked about in many videos, I started remembering reefer customers, because I've been looking up the load board trying to see, hey, who, what, where, why, and how. And you got to remember, with those reefers, you know, you got to go to a warehouse that can take refrigerated goods. So you're going to a lot bigger warehouses, a lot bigger places. And I looked at a really good load that picked up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's going to be 5 o'clock in the morning delivery. So it's like, I like everything about reefer except, man, those customers, because they're never happy to see you. Again, gross generalizations. So I was like, well, I'm still probably going to do reefer. I mean, reefer gives me the miles that I want. It's better pay. You know, it's a little bit more specialty. But, you know, it's probably going to be reefer. But then I got to talking to people because, again, I do research. I've been on YouTube University ever since this whole thing started. Hopefully I'm providing information to somebody out there. And my buddy keeps hammering on me. He's like, why are you being such a wuss, man? Do flatbed. I was like, no, I'm done with flatbed. But, man, started looking at rates. Oh, and by the way, backtrack real super fast. Reefer insurance is the most expensive at $25,500 because reefers have to have reefer breakdown insurance, which is an additional coverage. There's another strike against the reefer. But back to flatbed. And so I started looking at rates. And again, there's 4 or 5 brokers that are going to work with me because I'm a brand new authority. And they don't necessarily pay the best. But they're still paying $250 a mile, $260 a mile. I saw several over $3 a mile with brokers that will work with me for flatbed. Now the trailer is not cheap. It's about the same cost as the reefer trailer. It's right around between $30 and $33 for a good one. Again, I don't want to buy junk and end up on the side of the road, right? But you also have to buy securement equipment. And when you buy securement equipment, you have to have a place to put the securement equipment. And so I think that flatbed would actually be the most expensive one to start out in. There are probably fewer loads for someone who's going to work with me. But again, I'm not out running for 3 and 4 weeks at a time. I can pick the areas where my customers are, you know, the brokers that I work with run and have loads. I don't have to take wingers. But I just haven't decided, and I need your help. All comments and suggestions are welcome, because I could always thought about, you know, I buy a dry van, rock it for 6 months while I'm getting my authorities, getting some age. But I just, as I'm learning from my mistake that I keep making, I'm tired of doing things twice. it's not a financial thing. It's about what makes the most sense for me. So if I know eventually I'm going to go flatbed, just go flatbed. Or eventually I'm going to suffer through the customer reefer because it's, you know, I can get a good deal and it's the type of freight that I want to haul, then I just need to go reefer. I don't need to do anything for a short amount of time. But that's where I'm at. I'm just kind of not all over the place. I'm very focused, but I've got to make a decision because we've got to get this load delivered to Ohio so that we can get a load to Dallas so we can get all this stuff turned in, because it is Friday, and in about 8 days, my authority will be ready for me to activate my insurance so that I can start hauling loads. And I got to buy a trailer somewhere in that time. So any suggestions, any help? We're on our way with our 10,000 pound load. We are getting up at 2 a.m. because we have to make it to the Iowa 80 by Sunday. I'm working on something. But that's where we're at. Appreciate you watching. We'll get another video here soon. Talk to you soon. God bless, and let's get rolling.